So this example, we're going to be creating a total weight, a formula that's going to take in a number of values within a range, and then multiply those and calculate the weighted value of each one of those values. So we've got two columns where we've got a value and we've got a weight for that value. So if we were to set these to 1, our formula would just simply take the average, which in this case would be 10. So we've got 15, 5, and 10. So we've got three values equaling 30 divided by 3 with a weight of 1 each, and that's going to result in the value of 10. So we're creating that customized formula, so as we adjust the values that we have in place, it's going to also make adjustments and changes to the values that we have as the result. And depending on the weight of the values, it's going to affect how the results are being output. This example, we're going to be setting up a weighted average from a range of values. So we're going to need two columns. The first column is going to have the range of values, and then the second column is going to have the weight that we're going to be associating with those values, and then we can have a result cell here down at the bottom. So open up your Google Sheets. Under Extensions, go to Apps Script. That's going to open up the Apps Script editor, and from here we're going to be creating and constructing our Google Apps Script weighted formula custom function. So start by clearing out what you've got within the function space. We're going to be creating a function called weighted average. It's going to be taking in two values. The first value is going to be the range, and the second value is going to be the weights. And actually we'll just call this as, and then the second one we can call as weights. And we're going to have to track the total value, so we can use a variable to do that, and we'll just call that sum. So start that out at 0, and then also we need to divide it by the total weight. So set up another variable, and this is going to be incrementing as we're iterating through the weights, and this is going to give us a total for the value of weights. So we can create a loop that's going to loop through all of the values that we have in order to create and get the total sum. So setting up a variable, let's give it a value of I equals 0, so starting out at 0 and looping through while I is less than the value of values length. And because this is going to be a range, it's going to be having a length value within the properties, so we can use that in order to set up our loop. And then as we loop through, what we want to do is we want to add to the value of the sum variable. So it's going to be adding whatever we've got for the values using the index value of I. So this will iterate through each one of those, and we're just getting whatever the first value is within that array. So using the index value of 0, multiply this by the value that we've got for weights, and the same thing that we're using the index value of I as we're looping through it, and then setting up a value of 0. So this is going to be assuming that we've got the same number of values and weights. If you don't have a weight value for each one of the values, then you need to adjust this formula. But for now, because we do have the same number of values, same number of weights, that we want to apply the weighted to those each individual value, then we can use the value for weights. And then here's where we're going to be updating the total weight. So incrementing it just like we've done with the sum, and taking the value of weights, and this is going to be index value, and the value of 0 will be the first value that we've got within the array. Is we're incrementing sum, and then we're calculating out the values, multiply it by weights. So that's going to be the formula there that we have. So this is going to be applying the weight to the values. And then what we want to do is we want to ultimately divide by the total weight when we return back the sum. So let's do that, where we've got the return sum and total weight value. And this will return back the result that we have from the average of the weighted values. So let's go ahead and we're going to apply our formula, and selecting the function name, and then selecting the cell that we want to apply this to. When you select the cell, go to the Sheets formula bar, select the equal sign, and then we can add in the name of our custom formula, and we need to update these values. So we've got a range for values, so it's going to be A2 to A4, And then we need to also specify the range for the weights, which is going to be B2 to B4. And of course, you might want to customize this. So right now we have the total weight is going to be 1 for each one of those. So now we can adjust those values. So long as the value above 0, this is going to be applying a different weight to the various values. So let's try this one here. So this should result in a much lower value because the weights for the higher numbers are going to be lower. If we increase the weight for the value of 5, this is going to also result in a different number. So it's again multiplying all 3 of these, adding up the total weights, and then doing a division by that. So returning back this result as the value. So you might also want to customize the formula to better suit your needs. So this is just a quick way to create that customized formula and do a calculation for the weighted average, and then return back the results within the spreadsheet.